a huge fan of almond biscotti, and I find this Italian cookie to be crunchy and tasty like no other cookie. And that's because it's double baked in the making process. This cookie also pairs fantastically with your tea, coffees, and even wine. Today I am showing a variation in this cookie by using ragi flour. Follow my healthy recipe and indulge without feeling guilty. To make 25 to 30 biscottis, we need 1 cup refined flour or maida and 1 cup ragi flour, 1 cup castor sugar, 2 whole eggs, 1 cup of whole almonds divided in 2, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla essence or vanilla extract, 1 additional tablespoon of castor sugar and 3 tablespoons of salted butter. In a big bowl, mix the dry ingredients first. I'm adding 1 cup of ragi flour to 1 cup of refined flour. I have sieved these flours once before. I would recommend you also to sieve the flours before using them. Now we add 1 teaspoon baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Some of you might want to know if you can use baking soda instead of baking powder. Yes, you can, but only 1/3 of a spoon. As baking soda is pure sodium bicarbonate, it is way stronger than baking powder. Going ahead with the recipe, just give these dry ingredients a good mix. Once done, keep this mixture aside. We'll use it later. Now let's chop half cup of almonds like I had mentioned before. Slice them horizontally so that we have a wider shape pieces. The pieces can be about a 1/4 centimeter thick, not very thin. The almonds are chopped and ready. Now let's dry roast them in a heated pan till they are a nice golden brown in color. This should take about 3 to 5 minutes. Now let's dry roast the other half cup of whole almonds in a similar way. So our roasted almonds are all set. Let's proceed to the next step. Now we are going to cream the butter with some sugar. So first take the butter in a big bowl. This is 3 tablespoons of salted butter, which is at room temperature. Using a spatula, break the lumps if there are any. And now it's time to add the sugar. We are adding 1 cup of castor sugar here and plus the extra tablespoon of sugar that we had kept aside. Now ideally you can use an electric mixer and cream the butter and sugar together until it is soft and fluffy. But I faced an unexpected rundown over here because my whisk attachment broke. So I had to do this manually as there was no other option. Apart from the pain that I got in my right arm because of all the vigorous mixing, it took me a longer time to finish this step because of the sudden challenge that came up. But in the end, it was all worth it because the biscottis turned out to be super yummy. Now let's add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Continue the mixing process. It's time to add the eggs one by one. After adding each egg, whisk the batter well. When you start adding the eggs, the batter will change its appearance and start looking creamy and fluffy. And this just means that you're doing a good job. See, the look of the batter has started changing. Now add the second egg. With an electric beater, this job, is a cakewalk. I mean, thanks to the person who invented electric beaters. This gave me a feel of old times when you used hands to cream the butter or make cakes. Using electric beaters wasn't as common then like it is today in every family. Anyway, now that our butter is creamed well, it's time to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You can use vanilla essence instead of vanilla extract. It will give you the same result. In fact, if you can source almond essence, replace half the vanilla essence with almond essence. As I could not source it nearby, I am using only vanilla extract. Mix the vanilla extract well in the batter. It's time to fold in the dry ingredients into the wet mixture. So I'm adding the flour mix to the wet batter in 2 parts. You have to gently fold in and incorporate the dry ingredients. Add the remaining dry powder. Now add all the roasted almonds and using your hands knead a dough. The dough is going to be loose at this point. Don't worry about that. Once you finish kneading the dough, keep this batter aside and on a table or a surface, sprinkle some refined flour. We are now going to shape the dough for our first round of baking. Place the dough on the sprinkled flour and take some flour in your hands and start kneading the dough and stiffening it as I'm showing here in the video. Don't use too much flour at one go as we don't want the biscotti to turn too dry. We just want the dough to come together. It's not going to get stiff beyond a point. So this is what it should look like when it is ready. Divide it in 2 parts. You can use a knife for this and give each part a loaf-like shape. If you get confused, just keep following what I'm doing in the video. After you shape the 2 parts, cover them with a cling wrap and keep them in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. That's the chilling time for the dough before we bake it. Half an hour has passed and the dough is stiff enough for baking now. Remove the plastic sheets and in a baking tray, place the loaves on the baking paper and give an egg wash on the top. This is optional and only for the glaze that I like on the biscuits. You can completely skip this if you don't want your biscuits to look shiny. After giving the egg wash, bake the loaves at 180 degrees Celsius for half an hour. Use the convection mode for baking. After half an hour, the loaves are nice golden brown and baked, but they are still soft on the inside, and the second round of baking will take care of that. Remove the baking sheet. My baking tray is round in shape, so the two loaves got stuck to each other, so I am cutting them in two halves first. If you have a larger tray, you can avoid this by keeping some space in between the two loaves. Now using a serrated knife, we are going to cut the biscottis in diagonal shapes with a thickness of about half to 1 inch diameter. Once you're done cutting the biscottis, place them on a baking paper in the baking tray. In the second round of baking, we are going to bake them for 12 minutes at 160 degrees Celsius. Then flip them over and again bake for 20 minutes. So here they are going in for the first 12 minutes at 160. After 12 minutes, take them out, flip them over and bake again for 20 minutes. Finally, our golden brown biscottis are ready. You can see the color on the edges. It's a nice golden brown, and on the side you can see the glaze because of the egg whites. And now let me show you the crunch. You will be amazed with how crunchy these are. So guys, do try this recipe at home and give me your feedback if you like it. And until I'm back next week with a new recipe, bye and take care.